I was working in a role with an organization where we really couldn't figure out what title fit what I did. It was almost like it didn't exist. And as someone that works in job data, of course, I was like, well, let me do some research and see what's going on out there, right? It wasn't marketing. It wasn't, I was also working with engineering. It wasn't PR. I was also working with the executive team and the sales teams. Like it just didn't really, there was just not a word that I knew of. And it just so happened that in doing my research, in the job data itself, I think first what I did was turn to LinkedIn. And there were a couple of people that uh, I would say were role models for me that I definitely looked at and ambitiously hoped that I was that person and or was working towards being that person, and that were called evangelists. And a friend of mine introduced me to those two individuals. And I was just like, wow, where did this word come from? Much like you're asking me, right? And then I looked back into the data itself and I was like, wow, this word isn't used very often. It's used more so in a religious context than necessarily a business context. And I was creating my own title, so it was like, no holds barred, right? And what would give sort of the weight that was, hey, I'm a person to listen to internally and externally, as well as, again, capture this sort of like strange, funky role that I had. And it just so happened that the organization I was working with was I would say they had a foundation, a Christian religious foundation, and especially where they were located. And so it kind of, to me, even, I mean, again, not getting into religion, like it wasn't anything related to that. It just felt like it made sense. And it also felt like they would really gravitate towards that word because it was a common thread for them as well. And so I was like, I'm an executive, but I wasn't like at the chief level, if you will, for this organization. So that global, but I was working globally. And so I was like, how about Global Skills Evangelist? And that's kind of where it came out. And I was kind of, everyone since I started using it, they were like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing title, right?